Well, hello, everybody. Good morning and welcome in. It is Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. On location at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where Price sells cars. Barry, a little under the weather today. Wasn't feeling well into the early evening, and he is not going to be with us today, but hopefully he will be feeling better later today. And certainly hope he'll be back with us on Monday. Certainly think that will be the case. But just the two of us, as I like to say, when we have shows like this. Gurn Jr. is going to pop in from time to time from up at Network Control in Nashville. But as I mentioned, I'm here at Stivers Ford in Montgomery. There's a beautiful, beautiful Lincoln Nautilus right here behind me. There's a Lincoln Aviator behind this vehicle. And kind of on the Lincoln side today because the sun is very bright today. And we've noticed in certain locations as the sun moves around, it kind of bleeds us out a little bit. So we're kind of over here on the Lincoln side today to kind of avoid the sun as it rises on this beautiful Friday morning, the eve of Conference Championship weekend. And we got some big games to talk about today. We want to hear from you through our River Region Straw chat line. We want to hear from you on our Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry email inbox. That's longshoreandmcknight@gmail.com. That's how you get in your Dreamland Pick 3 selections for this week, and they're rolling in. Terrence got it kicked off earlier this week on Tuesday, and they're rolling in throughout the week. I noticed this morning when I went to the inbox, and there were a lot of Dreamland Pick 3 selections. And there's some very interesting ones as well. What are you shooting for? You know, a $50 Dreamland gift card. It's that simple. So get in, have them in by the time your first game kicks off. So if you're going to choose a game that plays today, tonight, we need it in before that game kicks off. If you're going to go with 3 NFL games like my man JR and Abel do, they fire them in on Saturday night, Sunday morning. Fine. Just get it in before that first game kicks, and you'll be eligible for the Dreamland Pick 3. Also, remember that email address because when our bold prediction contest kicks off on Monday, you're going to need to know that as well as yellowhammernews.com. Yellowhammernews.com is where you're going to go to enter the bold prediction contest. We'll have so much more information on that for you on Monday. But, hey, we make the bowl season exciting. Let's face it. There are a lot of worthless, meaningless bowl games. That's a phrase I should have trademarked 35 years ago when I first thought about it. But nevertheless, we're going to make the bowl season exciting because you've kind of got a little skin in the game. Yeah, I mean, you make your selections. You want that team to win that bowl game. So you got a shot at some great, great prizes, topped off by a $1,000 travel voucher from the Montgomery Regional Airport. A lot of other great things going to be in that prize pack as well, but we're going to let you in on that right before we get it going, that we certainly have that available as well. And I know that's very important to a lot of people. They really enjoy having the opportunity to win that, maybe fly off somewhere and not have to absorb that airfare. And that's kind of nice. So we'll get that going. And as I mentioned, our great friends from yellowhammernews.com, you can check out a recap of this show each and every day, video content as well. This show is streamed. Excuse me. This show is screened. This show is also shown on their Facebook page. It is live up right now, as a matter of fact. So you can check it out in so many different ways. And of course, this program on YouTube, live every day, 7 to 9, replayed all day long. We're on Spotify. We're on X. We're on Instagram, all over the place. So make sure you check us out as much as you possibly can. And as I mentioned, we got a lot going on today. Our normal guest, Lee Sterling, at around 7:40 this morning. Lee will join us here today. We'll recap and he'll give us his predictions on the conference championship games. Also, the Phantom coming off another non-losing weekend. So the Phantom will join us at the top of the hour. Ralph Michaels from Wager Talk and the Gold Sheet at the bottom of the second hour today. So a lot to discuss. I know there's a lot of topics on the topic wheel. Let's get you caught up. Last night in the NFL, great game. Detroit, there again, staving off a loss. They are the one of only 2 teams in the league with 1 loss, and they win 34-31 last night on Thursday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers. Detroit looking really, really good. Their second Thursday game in a row, and they were certainly able to take care of it, but a close victory. I know what you're saying. Victories are, they're all good. I'll take a victory any way I can get it. And the Detroit Lions 2 weeks in a row have come away with a field goal victory. So good for the Lions. Look for them to go deep into NFL postseason. Kansas City, of course, the other NFL team with only one loss. 6 teams in the NFL, not 16, 6 teams having a bye week. Denver, Indianapolis, New England, the Commanders, the Ravens, and the Texans off this week. So somewhat of a slimmer NFL card than normal. Once again, only 3 afternoon games on Sunday. I do not understand that with the NFL. Why they love to throw as many games on in that 12 o'clock window. That is so inconvenient. I would want to have more games in the 3 o'clock window, but they're not asking me. So there you have it. And of course, Dallas is in on Monday night. I know JR is probably happy about that. No college action. Of course, that will start tomorrow with some conference championship action. Western Kentucky at Jacksonville State at 6 o'clock on the CBS Sports Network. UNLV at Boise on Fox at 7. I found that game very interesting. We know about Boise, 10th rated team in the country. I don't know a lot about UNLV. The Running Rebels, they kind of snuck up on me. Didn't really know they were in a spot to play for a conference championship, get into the playoff possibly. That should be an interesting watch. And Tulane at Army. Tulane's got a lot of experience, or their head coach certainly does, in postseason action. John Summerall, when he was at Troy, now at Tulane, playing in the American Championship game. So 3 games tonight that we'll be talking about today, and you can get those on your Dreamland Pick 3 as well. And then, of course, tomorrow, 6 conference championship games starting at 11 o'clock in the morning. Iowa State at Arizona State. Ohio at Miami. Those are your early brunch games. Then we roll into Georgia and Texas at 3 o'clock in Atlanta. And then we got some night games. Marshall at the Ragin' Cajuns of Louisiana. Penn State at Oregon. Clemson at SMU. I was listening some national show, excuse me, and it was talking about how these networks position these games for broadcasts. And talking about teams that really these networks don't want in the playoff. Something you've kind of heard us talk about as well. I mean, they're there. Good for you. Glad you made it. But, we really don't want you making it far. We don't want you getting into that 12-team playoff. This conference championship business is one thing, but the playoff is another. And the example that they gave was like the Big 12. It's great. Glad y'all are there. Iowa State and Arizona State from Arlington tomorrow at 11. But there's a reason that game's at 11 and not at 7 o'clock at night, because the networks don't want it at that time. They don't want to be clogging up primetime viewing with Iowa State and Arizona State. And I know what the diehards are saying. Well, they won. They have every opportunity to be in a conference championship game and have the spotlight on them. Yeah, they do. That's great. That's wonderful. But the network guys don't want them in a prime window. So that's why they go ahead and let them play early, and they let them kind of get everybody's appetite a little wet. And they kind of, people are kind of doing stuff around the day, getting ready for the big games that afternoon and night. And that's what's happening to Iowa State and Arizona State. Same thing with Ohio and Miami. 11 o'clock in the morning. Can anybody out there hit the chat line, hit the email, and say, John, I like an 11 o'clock game. Those are the games that I like. Really? Do you expect me to believe that? Because I just can't. I don't see it. I don't think that's the case. So that's why those games are there. And that's why you've got the big ones later in the day. And I think it also goes into who they want in the playoffs. I think that's an indicator right there. They really don't want those teams in the 12-team college football playoff. Be it fair or not, they don't want it. And quite frankly, I don't either. But we got to have it, got to let them play. But just think about that. And as I heard a national sports commentator talk about that yesterday, I thought, you're right. I mean, there's a reason there's 3 games tonight and not clogging up tomorrow. Jacksonville State, Western Kentucky, UNLV, Boise, Tulane Army, those games are tonight. And the networks don't really care. But tomorrow is the meat of the matter. And 11 o'clock games, you're lucky you're getting that. But from 3 o'clock on, those are the 4 games. And really the Louisiana Marshall game, the Sun Belt game, I don't know why that game's on then, but nobody's going to watch it because you got 2 Power 5 conference championship games going on at the same time, the ACC and the Big Ten. So does that favor Alabama and what I'm telling you there? There's been a lot of talk all week long. Is Alabama in? First of the week, everybody was freaked out. Oh, gee whiz. Bama fans, looks like we got to go to the ReliaQuest Bowl. We're not going to make the first 12-team playoff. Never thought this would happen. Well, it has. But there seems to be a change out there. Whoa, looks like Bama's got a good chance now after Tuesday night, where they were positioned in that ranking. No more data points to use. Does it really matter who wins the ACC championship game? Earlier in the week, it was, well, SMU's got to win. Do they? I don't know anything. I haven't gotten any inside privy information, but just reading the tea leaves and listening and talking and reading, doing a little investigating, it certainly looks to me like Alabama's got a really good shot. And it looks like they want them to play Notre Dame. And I'm sure TV networks would eat that up. We'll know Sunday, and then the games will be a little less than 2 weeks later. 2 weeks to prepare. If Alabama does get in and they do play Notre Dame, they better be on the practice field this weekend when it's 24 degrees so they can get used to what the weather could be like in South Bend on a Saturday night around December, the 20th, 21st, something like that. Something to consider, something to think about. All right, as I mentioned, as we are on Fridays, I am here at Stivers Ford or Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Today I'm at Stivers Ford, where price sells cars. Let me tell you what's going on here the month of December at Stivers. Folks, you got to take advantage of this. Holiday savings going on the entire month. Now, if you've got somebody on your Christmas list that wants a new car, maybe you've got a teenager that's wanting something, turn 16, 17, got a great selection of used vehicles if you just want to start them out on something like that. Whatever you may want, Fords, Lincolns, pre-owned, they've got them here at Stivers in Montgomery. And I'm telling you, they don't have just a handful. Hundreds and hundreds of vehicles are on this lot. I've never seen a car dealership with as many vehicles on the ground as I see here at Stivers Ford each and every week I'm here. It's unbelievable. They've got the F-150, America's best-selling truck for over 50 years. Plenty to choose from. Explorers, Expeditions, Broncos, all here for you. And I'm telling you, so many to choose from. And I'm going to give you some examples of the great deals going on during the holiday savings event this December here at Stivers in Montgomery. I talked about the stylish Bronco, up to 10 grand off MSRP, starting as low as $34,990. Plenty to choose from. How about the Ford Ranger, over 40 in stock, priced thousands under invoice. The Ford Explorer, it started it all back in the early 80s in the SUV market. Ford Explorers up to 8 grand off MSRP, as low as $33,990 and 1.9% APR for 60 months. The Expedition, put all the kids in the Expedition, head to the game, the lake, the beach, the mountains, up to 12 grand off MSRP, 1.9 APR for 60 months, and no payments for 90 days. And I know what you're asking. What about America's best-selling truck for close to 50 years in a row? That's hard to believe. Think about that. If I'm another car dealer, I'm thinking, man, I can't sell a truck because the F-150 is killing me. F-150s, hundreds to choose from, 1.9% APR for 60 months, up to 15 grand off, and no payments for 90 days. Folks, you owe it to yourself to come out to Stivers here in Montgomery because there are so many vehicles for you to check out. Not a handful, not 8 or 9 or 10 that are trying to move off the lot, but every vehicle here is priced to sell during the holiday savings event at Stivers Ford Montgomery, where the Eastern Boulevard meets the Troy Highway. Come see my friends today. I promise you'll drive away happy. When we come back, we're heading to the Victorland 777 topic wheel. Gerd Jr. is going to probably pop in a little bit as well. I got a couple of questions for him, and we want to get that chat line going as well. I know it's going strong today. Good morning, everybody. Hello, welcome in. Thank you so much for being on today. We're going to read some of the chats, some of the emails. Get your Dreamland Pick 3s in today, Longshore and McKnight at gmail.com. So much going on a Friday. Glad you're with us. Quick break, more of Longshore McKnight, presented by Bud Light, after this quick timeout. Book tee time sooner. Save on every round. That's what you get with the 2025 RTJ Trail Card. Destination golf is closer than you might think. Buy a 2025 Trail Card and save every time you play. Plus, you will be automatically entered into the Trails Loyalty Program. Enjoy 10-day advance reservation privileges at each location. 11-day advanced internet tee times on rtjgolf.com and the RTJ app. Enjoy the benefits of a 2025 Trail Card. It makes for a great stocking stuffer, and you save on every round you play in 2025 on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail.
Welcome to the holidays. They're officially here. Time for tradition, family gatherings, meals, and the annual scramble of searching for those last-minute gifts. Speaking of gifts, this season Budweiser's got your back. Head to the store right now and look for our specials. Why go all over town looking for that perfect gift when Budweiser takes care of everyone in one convenient ice-cold package? When you stock up on Budweiser with our specials, you'll have plenty to share with your friends and family. They'll all appreciate that Budweiser's brewed the hard way and has been for 140 years. We use the finest barley, malt, and hops grown in Idaho and Germany. We don't take any shortcuts when we're brewing. That's our tradition. So make the most of your holidays. Stop by your local store now for our specials. Grab enough Budweiser for yourself, your friends, and your family. It's a new holiday tradition everyone can enjoy together. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Budweiser Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Why Hands? At Hands Heating and Air, you get this area's highest ranked service provider with 24-hour repair service, no overtime charges, and their same-day service guarantee. Plus, instead of other companies' 30-day repair warranty, Hands gives you a 3-year repair warranty. Hands Heating and Air is here for you 24/7, 365. And service is not just something they do, it's their way of operating, for you in mind. All of Hands employees are trained to adhere to this standard. They work hard to ensure that this standard is maintained, and they are constantly looking for new ways to better serve you. Call Hands Heating and Air today at 508-5382. That's 508-5382, or find them on the web at 834hands.com. Already back here live at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where Price sells cars. Glad you're with us, folks. Great holiday savings going on here at Stivers. Make sure you come out and see my friends today. Hey, tell them you saw it on Longshore McKnight. We'd appreciate that when you head out here to let these good folks know that we advise you to come out and see them. Really appreciate that. Really enjoying the chat today. It's going strong. Our River Region Straw chat line. Always appreciate that. I'm a little lost here. Brian with his chat at 7:13, and I've tried to go back to see how this conversation started, but this one caught my attention for some reason. Brian says, it's like a gentleman's club putting average girls on stage between 11 a.m. and 5 p.m., and the prettier girls come in from 6 p.m. to close. Oh, now I get it, Brian. Talking about those football games. You're exactly right. They're putting the pretty girls on at 6 o'clock till the wee hours of the night. But those starter girls, those average girls, those ones that really aren't the best looking, yeah, they're doing that matinee. They're doing that lunchtime thing. I hear you. I got it now, Brian. Yeah, you're exactly right. Good stuff there. Great stuff from Kirk as well as this morning. Theotis is in. Heck yeah, you know, Theotis is going strong. I'm glad to hear from him. Ty's in this morning as well. Ty's usually our first guy. Ty always gives us a good morning, and we really appreciate that. Too early from Danny from Margaritaville. He's not up yet. Bob from Pike Road, maybe he's getting ready to get going here on the chat line as well. So we're certainly looking forward to hearing on you guys as we broadcast here live from Stivers Ford in Montgomery. As I mentioned, Lee Sterling, he's going to join me in about 20 minutes from Paramount Sports, the Phantom at the top of the hour. Coming off another non-losing weekend, Ralph Michaels from Wager Talk in the Gold Sheet later today as well. State football championship, high school football, been some great games going on. Get a question here about Saraland and a lot of D1 prospects. I know Thompson certainly did as well. Montgomery Catholic certainly has. It's been a great championship weekend as well. All right, we're ready to go about 20 minutes in, and Chris the Bammer said spin the wheel, and I'm thinking, okay, why in the world are we holding back any further? Let's see what's on the Victoryland 777 topic wheel before we get really good and going here today. Gern's got
all
it
right,
up.
John.
Let's see what we got, my man.
All right, here we go.
Spin the wheel. Here we go. Man, there are a lot of topics today. Top spots. Top spots. What I'm talking about there is recruiting rankings. And I know a lot of people enjoy recruiting rankings, things of that nature. I know there's a lot of them. And some people favor one recruiting ranking over another. But what do you think? I'm looking at 247 right now. And I know there's these data points and numbers that they use. I was never good in math, so I'm not real sure about the numbers. But Texas has a total team score of 306.67. I'm not sure how they came up with that number, but they got it. They've got the overall best recruiting class in the country. So says 247. Followed by Alabama, about 2 points behind them. Then you got Oregon, who's about 2 points behind Alabama. And then you got Georgia, that's real close to Oregon. And then it kind of drops off from there. You got Ohio State at 297.60. Auburn's at 289.48 in the sixth spot. So there again, I don't know if it's 5 stars weigh this much and 4-star, whatever. But you look at all the SEC teams that are in the rankings, all of the named teams that are in the rankings. I think if you talk to anyone out there, they're going to know that Texas, Alabama, Oregon, Georgia, Ohio State, Auburn, Michigan, LSU, Texas A&M, Tennessee, those are teams they're familiar with. Oh, then you look at number 11, the Florida Gators. Look at Billy Napier. Notre Dame at 12, Southern Cal at 13. Those are the teams that the networks want in the college football playoff. That's who they want. Those teams that I just reeled off to you. Yeah, they'll probably take Ole Miss and Oklahoma, Penn State. Georgia Tech might not be on their A list, but I guess they take them. Missouri and South Carolina. That's the top 20 recruiting classes at 24/7. So I've wondered how they come up with how they rank these teams. I looked at the ESPN top 300 and how many schools had the most of the top 300. I'm looking at On3. It's basically the same. Their scoring is a little different, but it's Texas, Alabama, Oregon, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Auburn, LSU, A&M, Tennessee, Florida, Notre Dame. Same schools, pretty much the same. I do see Auburn's at 7th in the On3, where they were 6th in the Rivals. But the recruiting rankings, do people, is it a feel good thing? I wonder about recruiting rankings, and do they really show up? I guess they do. I mean, it took me a while to really believe it. Maybe I did not want to believe it, but you do see teams that have good recruiting classes year after year after year. Those are the teams that are playing for national championships. They're the ones that are doing it. Now you look at ESPN, and as I mentioned, this is something that I've always valued. In their top 300, Georgia is number one with 15 of ESPN's top 300 commitments. They finished at 1. Oregon at 2. They had 16 of the 300 commitments. Texas had 17. I knew what you said. Wait a minute, John. Georgia had fewer than Oregon and Texas, but those players were rated higher in the top 300. Alabama is at 4. Alabama had 15 of the top 300. Ohio State is at 5, also having 15 of the top 300. Michigan is at number 6 with 11. Auburn is at number 7 with 15. There's an example. The 11 that Michigan got were higher rated in that top 300 than Auburn's 15 were, to put Michigan above Auburn in that list. Auburn actually on signing day morning was in the 4th spot and dropped to 7 in the ESPN top 300. But no, look, if you're in the top 10, you're going to be in pretty good shape. Now, Gurn Jr. is there in Nashville. Gurn, I don't see Vanderbilt anywhere on this list. Am I missing something? Where would Vanderbilt be? Huh?
It's pretty surprising to me, but they're not on the list.
Oh, man, that was kind of a cheap shot, Gurn.
It was a little bit of a cheap shot, but hey,
yeah.
they're bowl eligible. They've done their best this season. We're looking straight ahead for next season.
So any rumblings of where Vandy's going to end up going to a bowl game? Because they are bowl eligible. They are going bowling, anchor down.
I'm sure it's I've heard some rumblings, but I'm sure it's not the best of the bowls. But at the same time, for Vanderbilt to be going to a bowl game, that's, I mean, what's there to complain about?
No doubt. I don't think you can phrase it as it's probably not the best of the bowl games. Hey, if Vandy's going to a bowl, it's the best bowl game.
Exactly.
I mean, it's the best bowl game. So I am rooting for the Commodores when they go bowling. But how about Clemson? Clemson 34th on the ESPN list.
I thought that was pretty wild.
Only 4 top 300 commitments from Clemson. Man, that's pretty rough. Florida State only got 5. They came in at 36.
That's been the complaint all season long, is that Dabo just doesn't know how to go out and recruit these days, apparently.
Obviously not.
Because if they're ending up that deep on the depth chart, I mean, what can you expect?
And Oklahoma State comes in at 51 with 0 top 300. How does that guy keep his job? How in the world does the mullet keep his job? They had a terrible year. They can't recruit anybody. That's a train wreck in Stillwater, Oklahoma. But there again, you can see, reeling off all those teams, folks, that I just reeled off those 3 recruiting services rankings, those are the teams that the networks want in the playoff. They got the best players. They got the highest recognition. People gravitate to those type games and those type teams. We call them helmet games. People recognize the helmets. And look, everybody out there is not as avid about college football as we are. Me, Gurn, Barry, you, we enjoy college football. We love it. Can't get enough of it. Look, come on. You can tell us. You might be a fan of some other school, but you're going to watch the big teams. And I equate it to the Cowboys. You might hate the Cowboys. I mean, I don't hate them. I just don't like them. I've never liked the Cowboys, but I'm watching them. Am I watching them to see if they get beat? Maybe. Maybe I like to see them lose more than they would win. And I know there's a lot of fan bases out there.
I would argue a lot of people are watching to watch the Cowboys lose, but
no doubt. I mean, Gern, how many times have you watched a game in a college setting to watch Notre Dame lose? People like to see the Irish lose. And when I was growing up, they didn't lose very often. And when they did, it was kind of a big deal. Oh, wow, Notre Dame got beat today. And I'm sure there are people around the country that love to see Alabama lose.
I was about to make the same argument. I think half of the TV ratings are probably supported by that fan base, just checking in to see if we're going down.
So, how about Bama fatigue? You hear it?
Oh, yeah.
And if they see Alabama in the playoff, you're right, Gern. I think there is going to be a lot of people that want to see Alabama get beat. And when Michigan beat them in the Rose Bowl last year, I think they enjoyed seeing that. So
I would argue they loved seeing that.
Let's don't get the cart before the horse, because Bama's not in the playoff just yet. But if they do get in, I think there's going to be a lot of people rooting against them, particularly if they're playing Notre Dame.
I think that would help bump the ratings as well, too.
Yep, I'm with you. All right, let's check on the chat board, River Region Straw chat board. John wanted to know, hey, where's Barry? Barry's a little under the weather today. Checked in with us, says he's not feeling well at all. So, man, we told him to get feeling better, and we can certainly take it here from Stivers 4, but he'll be back with us. Tobias out in Arizona. The NCAA tournament likes the first round upsets, but they don't want schools like Butler in the Final Four. You're right, Tobias, you're exactly right. Of course, they've got a field that's bigger, so you can have those kind of upsets. There's more games. So that Butler or whomever that might get that upset early on, they're thinking, oh, they'll get upset in the next round, or at least the Sweet 16. And we don't have to worry about them making it down to the Final 8 or the Final 4. Those things happen. And Jim Nantz and CBS do a great job of painting this Cinderella story for this out-of-nowhere team, and that's great. But with a 12-team football field, you're limited. You don't have as much wiggle room, and they don't really want all that. They love seeing those big teams come together, work their way down the bracket, match up in a championship scenario. Yeah, they can make some theater out of it. They can make it kind of Hollywood-like if UNLV makes it to the finals, or Boise, or heck, Arizona State. But they know the ratings are going to be better if it's Ohio State taking on Georgia or somebody like that. So just kind of the way it is. But it is the brand. Make no mistake, Theotis, you are a smart man. Our River Region Straw chat line up and going. Also, our email inbox. I see them coming in. Yep, those Dreamland Pick 3s, keep them coming. I see them. Longshore and McKnight at gmail.com. We appreciate those all coming in today. Great picks here as well. I'm looking at them. Man, they look good.
John, I just got to hop in right here.
Sure, come on.
So this is the ESPN predicted as of today. But, I mean, why in the world would you think Boise State, Oregon, SMU, I give it Texas and Oregon will pull in the numbers ratings-wise, but SMU and Boise State getting that bye off the bat?
I think, Gern, and I'm looking at it here, you got it up on the screen, and I think this is going to change Sunday when it comes out.
It surely has to.
But you're right. Well, take, for instance, if Alabama and Notre Dame meet up, I think Alabama and Notre Dame fans are going, oh, yeah, we'd love to take on SMU in the Peach Bowl or wherever that game will be played. Yeah, we're all in. Penn State and Arizona State getting to play Boise in the quarterfinals.
I mean,
to me, that's a little out of whack when you got Indiana, Georgia facing Texas, Tennessee, Ohio State possibly playing, taking on Oregon. In the other two games,
it seems a little lopsided there.
Sure does. You're going to play Boise or SMU in a neutral site? So I think you're going to see a little, and I get it. If they win it, they're going to put them there. But that's something I think as they redo this after the 25 for the 26 season, I think they're going to have to adjust some of that, Gurn, because I do not think the networks are looking to get those type of matchups. That's just not what they want. And as we talked about, could there possibly be play-in games from the SEC and the Big Ten? I could see that. I could certainly see that. There again, we talk about the big boy conference. We talk about the Big Ten and the SEC expanding and possibly doing their own thing. I just think those are some of the steps you might see if we do have this expanded play-in situation that we discussed earlier this week. And just a quick recap, what it would kind of consist of. You got Texas and Georgia playing for the SEC championship game tomorrow. If the play-in scenario was in place, you'd still have those two teams playing at night. And then you'd have the next four teams, the highest ranked teams below Texas and Georgia in the conference. You'd have Ole Miss at Tennessee. You'd have South Carolina at Alabama, play-in games. Those winners get in the playoff. So there's your four. You got the two teams in the SEC championship game. Win or lose, they're getting in, Texas and Georgia. The winner between Ole Miss and Tennessee, the winner between South Carolina and Alabama, they're in. That's four. And you know what? You might even have an at-large bid open for one of those losers, South Carolina or Ole Miss, if it happened to play out that way. Same thing in the Big Ten. That could take up a lot of your spots. 8 to 10 of your spots could be taken up by the SEC and the Big Ten. That's what those conferences want. That's what the networks want. So when they move it to 14, that's going to give you 4 more spots, or maybe 6 if they go to 16, which I don't know why they don't do that, because I think they eventually will. All right, we're here live at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where Price sells cars. Let's tell you what's going on out here at Stivers. It's the holiday sales event going on where you can check in on some incredible deals. The stylish Bronco up to $10,000 off MSRP, starting as low as $34,990. How about a Bronco Raptor up to $12,000 off MSRP? How about the Ford Ranger, kind of an entry-level pickup, over $40,000 in stock priced, thousands under invoice. The Ford Explorer, it all started back in the early 80s, up to $8,000 off MSRP, as low as $33,990, and 1.9% APR for 66 months. Also, the F-150, America's best-selling truck for nearly 50 years in a row. They have got hundreds for you to choose from. It's not just 8 or 10 they're trying to move off the lot. Every one of them is priced to move. 1.9% APR for 60 months, or up to $15,000 off MSRP, and no payment for 90 days. F-150 Crew Cabs, America's best-selling truck for nearly 50 years in a row. Folks, the lot is loaded. I'm telling you, I've never seen so many vehicles here at Stivers where Price sells cars. The big holiday sales event going on now. Don't miss out. Get incredible savings at Stivers here in Montgomery, where the Eastern Boulevard meets the Troy Highway. Quick timeout. Lee Sterling joins me when we return on Longshore McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
You know all about the 12 Days of Christmas, but what about the 12 Days of Dixie? We're giving away 12 of this year's hottest holiday gifts. Just go to facebook.com/Dixie Electric Plumbing Air and comment on the daily prize post using the hashtag 12 Days of Dixie, and you're automatically entered to win. The winner's name is posted on Facebook the following day with the opportunity to enter daily. The 12 Days of Dixie is going on right now.
Heads or tails, kick or receive, with the wind or against the wind. Buy your friend a Bud Light, buy a stranger a Bud Light. Go to your team's bar, go to the opposing team's bar. Buy around during the next truck commercial, buy around during the next talking duck commercial. If you're truly up for whatever this weekend, grab the perfect beer for whatever happens. Crisp, refreshing Bud Light. Make 2 plans and let the NFL coin toss make the call. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey, this is Barry McKnight from Longshore and McKnight, telling you about our friends at River Region Straw. You're not buying sticks or stems and pine cones. You're buying premium long needle pine straw from River Region Straw. Kenny and his staff have access to the best pine straw in the River Region, full of color, that'll last all season long. They've got locations in Montgomery, Prattville, and Auburn, and no order is too big or too small. From a few bales to an 18-wheeler trailer load, River Region Straw also has seasoned firewood for the cold days and nights ahead. Pickup is available, and your order can be delivered if you like. They can even spread your pine straw if that's what you want to have happen, for sure. Call or text Kenny today, 669-5959. That's 669-5959 for all of your pine straw and firewood needs at River Region Straw.
Okay, we're back here live at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where Price sells cars. Lee Sterling going to join us here in just a moment. I believe the Phantom will join us today as well. I've got this beautiful Lincoln Nautilus behind me right here. There's an Aviator right behind me as well. We're on the Lincoln side of the Stivers showroom this morning, trying to avoid some of that sun that can kind of block us out from time to time. It's very bright and beautiful here today in central Alabama, and it's going to be a cold weekend. Great weekend to watch some conference championship football as well, some NFL, which kicked off last night. Detroit beating Green Bay by 3 in that game that was on Prime Video. But it's also a great time to come out here to Stivers. Anybody on your holiday list that's needing a vehicle? Maybe the little lady wants something new in the driveway on Christmas morning, or you've got a teenager that needs a vehicle turning 16 or 17 or something. They got a great selection in their pre-owned lot as well. So make sure you take advantage of that incredible pricing here where Price sells cars. If you look around and you're driving around, just look at all the vehicles that are available for you there at that are available for you here at Stivers in Montgomery. So Lee Sterling trying to get into us today. I know he's trying to log in as we speak, sending me a text here this morning, maybe some slow internet down there in South Florida. Who knows? But Lee is trying to get in touch, and we will let him know we're ready to go, waiting on him. And as soon as he logs in, we'll be good to go. So Lee Sterling here joining us in just a moment. Great stuff here on our chat line. Brian says, if anything makes these teams play a 2-3 loss team from the SEC Big Ten to get into the playoff, don't reward them with a bye game just because they won their conference championship and played the 75th strength of schedule. Strength of schedule, top 25 wins, no doubt, Brian. That's a big part of what goes into how these teams are going to be selected in the playoff. Lee Sterling from Paramount Sports joining me here today. Lee, good morning. Glad you're with us here today. Barry's a little under the weather today and couldn't join us, so we're going to do it between the two of us, if that's okay.
Good morning, Lee.
Okay. What's crazy is trying to log in. It took me 5.5 minutes. I thought I was. Remember when the internet you had the had that sound you had to
dial up, yeah,
dial up. That was. It almost felt like that. So took a little longer.
Well, I'm glad you're with us here today on this Friday. Lee, before we get to some games, you were 5-0 last week. Great week last week, man. Incredible 5-0, sweeping the board here on the show. We know you're excited about that. I think our viewers and our listeners, Lee, would kind of like to get a feel of what people in your neck of the woods are talking about when it comes to the college football playoff release on Tuesday night, where Miami was positioned, and I guess particularly where Alabama was positioned in that poll.
So I even put it out on Twitter. I forget which host of one of the shows. I had said, listen, Alabama's a better team than Miami. They play in a neutral field. Alabama probably beats Miami by 10 to 17 points. The thing that I think Miami had a trouble with, most fans, is we were strung out. I mean, they were telling us all along these close games, and most of them we won, meant a lot to them. So, I mean, John, did your coach ever string you out in high school telling you that he's going to put you in on senior day, and then it never happened?
Well, Lee, I was smart enough to know I wasn't getting in the game anyway.
Even on senior day, when your team was up by 30, 40 points?
Well, I just kind of, he kind of looked down the bench, goes, hey, get in the game, you know.
I
He
think
felt
Miami
sorry.
was strung out.
He felt sorry for me, Lee, so he just threw
Okay.
me in the game a couple of
Okay.
times. Yeah.
Okay. Well, some people, not saying you, but others get strung out, and I think that's what
Sure.
Miami's
Yeah.
problem. If we were told all along
Yeah.
that we were coming up a little bit short, and I think also losing 2 of the last 3 games really hurt
Yep.
Miami. I think Miami's argument from most people, most of my friends, is that Alabama lost to Oklahoma. They weren't even
Sure.
in the game. Yeah. So
You know, Lee, the
I'd
two
like
losses,
to see both. I'd like to see both teams in. I think
Yeah.
it would be fun. But
Well, and
not
I
the
think
case.
once we get through this 2-year cycle and they redo it and redo the contracts, I think there's going to be a lot of different things
Yeah.
about the college football playoff. But I did want to just start off with that because I know
Yep.
you're down there in Miami and just thought it would be interesting to
Yep.
get some take of what South Florida's thinking about. All right, let's look at the games this week. As I mentioned, 5-0 on the show last week. Incredible weekend. So let's kick it off. Arizona State laying 2, taking on Iowa State, the Big 12 championship game in Arlington.
So these two teams are very similar. The difference here might be the injury to Arizona State wide receiver Jordan Tyson. Well, how big is the injury? Well, he only caught 75 balls for 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns. So Iowa State, believe it or not, had to play their last 6 games in cold weather. 4 in Iowa, 1 in Kansas City against Kansas, and then on the road at Utah. So they're probably going to be feeling, a little bit quicker here, playing indoors. And I think their passing game with Rocco Becht against Arizona State's poor pass defense, ranked 75th, is the difference here. I think the wrong team's favorite. I like Arizona State here outright. I'm sorry, Iowa State. Outright, 30-26 over Arizona State.
Lee, I'm looking at Arizona State going, wasn't Herm Edwards there like 2 years ago, and this team was terrible.
Right? Just shows you get a good coach like the Chargers. You get Jim Harbaugh, get a good coach in there, get a good quarterback. He has a good year. All of a sudden, you can go from a poor team to right to the top of the heap.
All right, the Big Ten championship game in Indianapolis. Oregon's got to fly across country to get there. Penn State, it's just around the block. What about this matchup? Oregon, a 3.5-point favorite, taking on Penn State. I mean, I saw where Penn State was putting turf down on their field at Beaver Stadium. They weren't even thinking about making this game.
You had to think that even if the kids were watching the game, they kept thinking, when's Ohio State going to turn it on? Penn State lost them. And just never happened. There might have been some kids driving around town or doing something different, and then they saw score. They're like, oh, well, I was going to go away with my girlfriend that weekend.
Yeah.
Not the case here. Here's the thing. Traveling 3 time zones, I think is big. Teams, Big Ten, traveling 2 or more time zones, just 35% against the spread. I know about James Franklin, 1-16 straight up against top 5 opponents, 5-12 against the spread. But I think the pressure is off. They would have been number 5 or number 6, even if they didn't make the Big Ten championship game here. They are better in every major statistical category except for passing offense. And also against common opponents, they fared better. I like Penn State here. I'm calling for the upset, 27-23. They might be the number 1 seed. How about that?
I'm liking it. I hear what you're saying there, Lee. I think a lot of people are thinking differently, but I like what you're saying. All right, SMU minus 2.5 in Charlotte, taking on Clemson in the ACC championship game. Here again, Clemson's backyard. I'm sure they'll have a big group of fans there inside Bank of America Stadium. But is SMU for real? Can they be laying 2.5 to a team like Clemson? Your thoughts?
Okay, Kate Klubnik, quarterback for Clemson. Against teams with winning records, only 6 yards per pass attempt. People don't know about Kevin Jennings, quarterback for SMU, who not only won 9 straight games, he averaged 9.3 yards per pass attempt. They scored between 28 and 66 points every game he started here. The right team's favorite, SMU 28-24.
SMU getting that ACC championship in their first year in the league. I'm not sure old line ACC teams are going to like that very much, but hey, it is what it is. And I can think of a similar situation, Lee, in Atlanta where Texas is a 2-point favorite against the Georgia Bulldogs. If Texas comes in there and wins, the rest of the league's going, whoa, wait a minute. We've been around here forever, and y'all are going to zip in year 1 and win the title? What do you think about the SEC game tomorrow in Atlanta?
So Texas was out physical first game. I don't see it happening again. They manhandled Texas A&M, who's really good on the offensive and defensive lines. That score shouldn't have been 17-7. It should have been 27 or 34-0. They were that dominant. Yeah. Georgia's offense and defense, first time in over a decade, they don't rank in the top 25 in any major statistical category. This isn't the same team, even close to any of the teams that won the national title here. I think Arch Manning, they're going to put him in more in this game and expand his use and add some wrinkles there. And the favorite, 25-6 in SEC championship games. Texas gets their revenge, 31-21 over Georgia.
Man, we're thinking a lot alike this week, Lee. There's no doubt. And I'm happy to say that because you were 5-0 on the show last week here. Folks need to make sure, get your pencils ready to jot down some information that Lee's about to give you. But I know you got a game of the week, Lee, and it's in the NFL.
Yep, game of the week is going to be Minnesota and Atlanta. Kirk Cousins return. You want to get that game for free? First 5 callers, call 800-400-9741. We're going to give you that game for free. And how about this? We call it, since Thanksgiving, we're on a 16-3 run. You want to hop on board? Call it Double Down December. Use coupon code SAVE200, just $247 every game through December 31st or through the Super Bowl. Mid-February, use coupon code SAVE300. There we go. Next show.
Phone's already ringing. Love it. Hey, we'll see you in 2 weeks, Lee, for the bowl extravaganza.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, buddy. Look, phone's already ringing, folks. What are you waiting on? Give Lee Sterling a call today, right now, just like that guy, and get in on this extravaganza. Coupon code 200, and you can get the winners. 5-0 here on the show last week. Got a great run going. Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports. Great stuff there. Awesome. All right. So, man, those are some big games there. What did you think about that? What did you think about some of the predictions that Lee had? Because those were some good ones. I got to take a picture here real quick of something I'm going to send Gern. So please bear with me here. Kind of one-legged today. Barry's a little under the weather, and I'm really liking what I'm seeing here on the chat line. Hey, Barry, get well soon. Hope you're feeling better. There you go. Show the love out there. Appreciate that. So Barry getting a lot of love this morning.
John,
and, hoping he is feeling better. Yes, sir.
I actually have a little homage to Barry, if we can.
Hit it.
We've got to work through an ad real quick.
All right.
But once we come back from break, I think we're good to go.
All right, sounds good. Well, I tell you what, take a quick break. I know we'll do that. I know the Phantom is going to be coming up here in just a moment as well. So we got a lot going on as we broadcast live from Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where Price sells cars. Folks, what are you waiting on? Look, if you've watched and listened to Barry and myself for so long time, we'll tell you. If you want to go to another car dealership, go. Look around, kick a few tires, whatever, ask some questions. But you're going to end up right back here at Stivers. And it's okay. It really is. Don't come in with your head down. Don't come in trying to not make eye contact with us. It's okay. We know. If you want to go out, shop around, that's fine. But you're going to end up right back here at Stivers because nobody's got a better selection. Nobody's got sales associates with as much knowledge about the cars and trucks and SUVs that they sell. And nobody's going to beat their prices. Nobody. Price sells cars. And Stivers has your vehicle at the absolute lowest prices, 4000 Eastern Boulevard, where it meets the Troy Highway. Quick timeout. Back with more of Longshore McKnight, presented by Bud Light after this quick timeout.
The Victoryland Casino 8 days of giveaways is going on now. The more you visit, the more chances you have to win. We're giving away $125,000 in free play and cash. That's right. Victoryland Casino is giving away $125,000 in free play and cash. Come play the latest and greatest games featuring exciting bonuses and huge jackpots. There's always more ways to win at Victoryland Casino off I-85 exit 22, Shorter, Alabama. Must be 21 or older. Must be present to win.
Shopping for a budget-friendly, reliable used car, or maybe a stunning new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram? Well, in Prattville, it's always a process that starts with the team of professionals from Stivers CDJR. Thanks to years of experience helping others in the local community enjoy premium service, low prices, and access to a wealth of amazing new and used cars, it's safe to say that Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is the name to beat in Prattville. But hey, just don't take my word for it. Experience the Stivers difference for yourself. Prices that will not be beat, a huge inventory, and knowledgeable, helpful sales associates. See why so many happy car and truck buyers shop at Stivers CDJR, where price spells cars and trucks on Cobbs Ford Road in Prattville. Local banking expertise, the newest innovations and technology, personal attention, genuine hospitality. It's all just part of the Riverbank and Trust difference. They invite you to experience it for yourself. Welcome to banking above and beyond at Riverbank and Trust. Locations throughout the River region, locations throughout the state of Alabama. River Bank and Trust. Okay, really enjoying the chat line today. Folks wondering, who is Gurn? Who is Gurn? And he's the mystery man. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you don't see his face. You hear his voice. Gurn is the mystery man. And he is producing
Absolutely,
in Nashville. Check it out, Gurn. I mean, you're making some headway here on the chat line of who's this mystery man.
Wouldn't they like to know?
Wouldn't they like to know? Maybe one day we have the big reveal, but not anytime soon, I don't think. But they love the mystery of it.
All right.
Okay.
I have the homage to Barry here ready to go.
All right, let's see what we got. Sort of be interesting.
Here.
Adamowski, Adamson,
Here.
Adler,
Here.
Anderson, Anderson,
Here.
Bueller, 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 Bueller.
He's sick. My best friend's sister's boyfriend's brother's girlfriend heard from this guy who knows this kid is going with the girl who saw Ferris pass out at 31 Flavors last night. I guess it's pretty serious.
So, John, I'd guess it's pretty serious.
Well, I don't know if it's as serious as that. I don't know if Barry actually passed out, but he did say he's been a little nauseous, got a little fever. So hopefully he's going to get that knocked out. But it's amazing how many times we have referenced that scene in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I tell you, though, I think the girl that went through all that, her name is Christy Swanson. I believe that's her name. She was actually in a movie called The Chase with Charlie Sheen. I think she's actually in Playboy as well at one point in time in her career. Anyway, how she was able to reel that off, Gurn, I wonder how many takes it took her to get that all out without messing up.
That was pretty impressive.
That was pretty impressive. My sister's girlfriend's brother's boyfriend's uncle or whatever. I mean, how do they come up with stuff like that? I mean, that was awesome. But yeah, hopefully Barry will be feeling good and back at it. That will be awesome. All right, so here live at Stivers, and a lot going on today. Ralph Michaels at the bottom of the next hour. Yes, she was Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You're right, Mark. Yeah, I think so. I never saw that movie. Ben Stein was the teacher. Yeah, you're right about that. I can remember when I saw Ferris Bueller's Day Off in the movie theater when it came out. I spent a summer in Portland, Oregon, believe it or not, along with two of my best friends. We drove from Montgomery to Portland the summer after our junior year in college, and we worked out in a place in a little community outside Portland called Milwaukee, not Wisconsin, but Oregon. And anyway, we're out there for 3 months working in the summer before we went back to Tuscaloosa for our senior year at Alabama. And, one day this movie came out. We said, hey, let's go check it out. Saw it in some theater in Portland, Oregon. Why I remember that, I do not know, because I can't think of many other movies I've ever seen outside or in a movie theater outside of your hometown. I mean, think about that. How many times do people go to movies when they're not at home? I mean, if you're out of town, you're thinking, I ain't going to a movie. But we did because we were living out there that summer. I saw Purple Rain in Roanoke, Virginia. I don't know why I remember that, but I did. It's just amazing. I remember stuff like that. So, yeah, that was a good one. John wants to know, JL, did you use that sick story to miss class at UA? Back then, you just didn't go. I mean, if you didn't go to class, it was on you, whether you were sick or just hungover or just didn't want to go. I had a friend of mine that back in Alabama, back in the day, you could park around the quad. You could drive around the quad. Now you can't. It's just for pedestrians. And he had a class somewhere near the quad, and it was raining. And he left. We all lived in this house together that we rented, and there was 4 of us, and 3 of us were sitting there watching TV or something. Maybe it's mid-afternoon. He leaves to go to class in the rain, and about 10 minutes later, he comes back, and we said, "Whoa, class canceled? I mean, what happened? You don't want to go to class?" Because I couldn't find a parking spot. It's okay. So he just came back home, and I think we started a poker game and played till the wee hours of the night. All right, we are a little bit past the top of the hour. I guess that means that I need to make way for the Phantom. Well, you mentioned Playboy, man. The chat line just goes crazy. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Matt, Kirk. Yeah, you're right. Go for it, man. It's awesome. So, yeah, I'm going to make way for the Phantom, who is about to show up. So let's get the Phantom logo up and going, and we will get ready to go through this process yet again and get some picks for the conference championship weekend. It's going to be great. So I'm looking forward to it. Got some great games that we're going to go over today. See what we got going here. We're back, of course. Glad to be here. Of course, brought to you by River Region Straw, the Phantom exclusively. Our partnership with these great folks. You know, it's getting cold out there, folks. And Kenny has got plenty of seasoned firewood that you can have for your fireplace. You got an outdoor fireplace, indoor, does not matter. Kenny's got plenty of seasoned firewood. You can pick it up at any of their locations, or they can deliver it to you. I had a good friend of mine yesterday text me and say, "Hey, I'm looking for some firewood," and he actually knew the dimensions and how long he wanted it and all that type of stuff. And he was able to help. Kenny was able to help him out. So I'm glad about that. And
669-5959.
That's the one. Call or text Kenny today. All right, you can stay warm. And you also got some pine straw for you as well. Premium pine straw for all of your pine straw needs. Matter of fact,
all right,
Kenny,
Phantom, how are we feeling?
Well, I'm feeling pretty good. As a matter of fact, Gert, I'm sending you some pictures. Kenny just sent me some pictures of some great looking firewood. We're going to try to get these on the air this morning. I'm going to send them to you and see if you can work your magic. We'll see how that goes, and we'll do that when we wrap up this segment of the Phantom, which, of course, Gern, this is for amusement purposes only. We do not condone any type of illegal gambling activity. In saying that, we release these games in order of kickoff time. That's very important. People say, why is that so important, Phantom? Well, I just tell it like it is. If you're calling up local man and the game's already kicked, you ain't going to take your bet. So you make sure you get your bets in before the game kicks off. It's that simple. Or if you're going somewhere where it's legal, I think it's legal here in the state of Alabama. When's the last time you ever have known anybody that got arrested for gambling on sports in the state of Alabama? Does anybody know anybody that's ever been arrested for gambling in this state? I'm just curious. I'm not condoning it. I'm just kind of curious if anybody's out there. I don't think there are. All right. So we got all the particulars out of the way, Gern, all the legal stuff. River
we
Region
should be
Strong.
Good to go.
Yep. This is
How
for
is the
amusement
Phantom
purposes
feeling
only.
about his first game?
Gern, I'm feeling pretty good about this card. I really am. I studied it really, really hard this week. So I'm feeling pretty good. We were 2-2 last week, couple of close ones that we missed out on. Another non-losing weekend. We're 3 games over 500 for the year. And we're going into conference championship weekend with guns a-blazing, as they say. So if you wouldn't mind introducing the first game on the card, and we'll kind of give you a brief description on what we think is going to happen.
All right. So we have Friday at 7 p.m. on ABC. You've got Tulane and Army. How's the Phantom feeling?
Well, I tell you, Gurnov, this is how I'm feeling. Tulane, a 4.5-point favorite in the AAC championship game, the American Athletic Conference, I believe is what it's called. Tulane minus 4.5, taking on Army at West Point. Could be kind of cold. The AAC championship game features 2 offenses that put up points in different ways. The opportunity to win the AAC in year 1 at home is a dream scenario for the Black Knights of Army. Sure it is. Army, however, is 4-10 straight up as a home underdog under head coach Jeff Monken. Now, Tulane head coach John Sumrall has faced either Army or Navy in each of the last 3 seasons. Think about that. Sumrall's defenses have allowed a total of 9 points in those 3 games. Wait a minute. Tulane's only given up 9 points in those 3 games against those 2 service academy? Tell me more. Tulane earns the AAC championship under first-year coach John Sumrall, who is 2-0 in conference championship games at his previous stop about 40 miles down the road here in Troy, Alabama, where Barry is on his sickbed today. We like the Green Wave to win this game by 10. Lay the 4.5 on the road. We like Tulane over Army in the AAC championship. Tulane wins by 10. What about that one, Gurn? What do you think? How's that one sound?
That's a tough place to play. I don't know. We'll just have to see on that. Anytime you go up there and you're playing a service academy,
yep.
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. I got more faith in John Sumrall and the Green Wave, even though they did lose to Memphis last week. And I did not like how they played it. A bounce-back game for the Green Wave. All right. What's next on the list, Gurn?
Next on the list, we've got Georgia versus Texas, Saturday at 3 p.m. on ABC.
Going to be a good one. Going to be a good one from Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. As Gurn told you, 3 o'clock ABC tomorrow. I know the wife's going to be watching this one, the Georgia grad. She's pulling for her Bulldogs tomorrow. Texas laying 2.5 against Georgia. You know, ever since beating Clemson 34-3 to open the season, things just haven't been right in Athens. Some off-the-field issues, some transfers already taking place. And for every good Georgia performance this season, there's been an ugly one to follow. Think about it. Big game here, drop one. Big game here, struggle with one. Big game here, 8 overtimes. Just saying.
No love for Carson Beck there?
No love for Carson Beck. And I told you, Gurn, I was in Atlanta, 6 weeks ago? I was blown away. I'm zipping around 85, 75, whatever. Every billboard had Carson Beck's face on it. And I'm thinking, is this guy playing football or is he in the advertising business? I mean, he was everywhere. It was unbelievable. But maybe he's kind of settled in a little bit. Who knows? Now, I mentioned that last Georgia played against in-state rival Georgia Tech, that 8 overtime game that Georgia won on a 2-point conversion. They were a 19-point favorite. And they go to overtime, 8 overtimes against Georgia Tech. That's what I'm talking about. Up and down, hot and cold. Now, I'm going to mention something to you here, and I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but I got some numbers here I thought were interesting. It's called Advanced Analytical Categories. Advanced Analytical Categories. Georgia's offense and defense is not anywhere in the top 25 in the country in any of the advanced analytical categories. You're asking yourself, what is that? Here are a couple of examples. Net per play on offense, per play allowed on defense, pass success rate, rushing success rate, late down success rate, allowed per pass attempt, allowed per rush attempt. A lot of this mumbo jumbo matrix stuff that a lot of people a lot smarter than me know a lot more about. But as I looked up that research, I went, that ain't good. And the offense and defense don't even rank in the top 25 in the country. That is a bad sign for the Bulldogs. Look, you take the name off the red and black jerseys, and this team has the analytical profile of Auburn. Texas has begun to use Arch Manning in some designed rushing attacks, scoring a rushing touchdown last week in that win over Texas A&M that could have been a lot worse than it was. Look, be very aware you're going to see some more of those type wrinkles tomorrow in Atlanta as Texas gets revenge for the regular season stumble and they beat Georgia by 6 in the SEC championship game. Whew. And the lady of the house at Phantom Enterprises is not going to be happy. I've been trying to tell her all week. She doesn't want to hear it. Honey, I don't like your team's chances. We'll see how it plays out. Texas wins the SEC championship, beats Georgia by more than 6, lay the 2.5 in Atlanta tomorrow. What do you think about that one, Gern?
Whoo, that's going to be a good one. I don't know how your little lady's going to feel about that one, but I would expect a very similar outcome.
Yeah, so Gern kind of on my bandwagon on that one. Okay, all right, we got 2 down. We got 2 more to go in the Phantom 4 on this Friday. What's up next, Gern?
All right, we got the big one. It's Penn State versus Oregon. Saturday night, 7 o'clock kickoff on CBS.
Yep, it is a big one in the Big Ten. Yeah, Oregon. How about that? Oregon in the Big Ten, traveling across country to take on Penn State right there in their own backyard. All right, listen to this, folks. Out of the 18 teams that are playing this weekend, a lot of conference championship games, I think Penn State is the best fit for we have nothing to lose. Really, they don't. Penn State even installed new turf at Beaver Stadium this week with the expectation that the Nittany Lions would be hosting a first-round playoff game. Heck, they could have a bye. They're going to be playing at a neutral site if they win the game. How about that? Well, it all changed when Ohio State, yet again, not able to beat Michigan, this time as a 19-point favorite. Yeah, I'm sure Penn State players are driving around thinking, oh, well, we got to go to practice tomorrow, whatever. Whoa, wait a minute. We're going to the Big Ten championship game. What happened here? Now, neither of these teams played a murderer's row in the Big Ten this season. They hadn't. Schedule strength's pathetic. And outside of the matchup with Ohio State, Penn State outperformed Oregon against their common opponents. Penn State had a much better margin of victory against Wisconsin, Maryland, Washington, and Purdue. I mean, Thompson High School could have had a better win margin against Purdue. Purdue's terrible, but you know what I mean. Look, folks, I'm telling you, the Ducks are on upset alert. Upset alert. I think Penn State could win this game outright, but I'm taking the 3.5 just in case. So grab the 3.5, take Penn State in the Big Ten championship game tomorrow night. What do you think about that one, Gern?
I might have to disagree with you here. I think Penn State's got that one locked up. When you say nothing to lose, that really translates, especially in college football. Just going out there and playing without anything to lose.
Yeah,
that's frankly the best feeling. That's like the going out and having fun thing. You always want to, but in this case, I think Penn State's gonna rock the Ducks.
I like it. I like Penn State. I think they can win it outright. The 3.5 is a bonus. It's kind of like being on a blackjack table, Gurn. You're playing with house money here, and that's what Penn State's certainly doing. Playing loose, playing free, playing confident. Love it. All right,
Exactly.
we got one more to go, I believe, on the Phantom 4. What is the next game on the list?
Same time kickoff. It's 7 p.m., but it's on ABC, and we've got Clemson versus SMU.
Oh, the ACC championship game from Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. Clemson and SMU, the Mustangs laying 2.5. Now, I got to think Alabama fans, players, coaches, administrators, travel associates are going to be paying close attention to this game. Clemson is 8-1 in ACC championship games under Dabo Swinney. Did you know that? 8-1. That's pretty impressive. And the Tigers' only route to the playoff is an upset against the Mustangs. SMU ranks 5th in the FBS with 39.2 points per game, and the potential for a shootout here between Kevin Jennings and Cade Klubnik, the two quarterbacks, would favor SMU. In Clemson's last 4 marquee games against South Carolina, Pitt, Virginia Tech, and Louisville, their quarterback, Cade Klubnik, averaged 6 yards per pass attempt. I'll repeat, 6 yards per pass attempt. If you spread that out over the full course of a season, the Tigers' passing attack would rate in the bottom 15 in the country. Whoa! If SMU can generate enough of the running game behind quarterback Kevin Jennings and running back Rashard Smith, then SMU will win the ACC in its first season. And we think they can do it. We like the Ponies to win by 6. So lay the 2.5 with SMU because they're going to win the game by 6 and win that ACC championship game. Gurn, what do you think about that one?
I think that's a great call. I actually have a weird little side connection to SMU, being that I played football with the not the backup quarterback, but his so Preston Stone is who Kevin Jennings ended up replacing. But I played football in high school with both of his brothers.
Oh, wow.
So I know that team's been stacked. Everybody's kind of given them the side this season, but I think they're going to crush them.
Yep, SMU, that would be a great story. First year in the ACC. Rhett Lashley, their coach, of course, was an assistant at Auburn years ago. Would be a great accomplishment for him, and he'll be a hot commodity as well. All right, a quick recap. Here you go. One more time. Phantom 4 championship weekend. It starts tonight. We like Tulane. Lay the 4.5 at Army. We think Tulane can win by 10 in the AAC championship game. Tomorrow, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, SEC championship, Georgia and Texas. The Longhorns laying 2.5. We say lay it. We think Texas wins this game by 6 or more, and they win the SEC in their first year in the league. Saturday night, Big Ten championship in Indianapolis. Penn State taking on Oregon. The Ducks laying 3.5. Woo, we're going to grab that 3.5 in a game. We think Penn State can win outright. 3.5 is a bonus. And then our last game on the sheet is the ACC championship game in Charlotte tomorrow night, 7 o'clock ABC. SMU laying 2.5. We say lay it. The Ponies win the ACC by 6 or more. So there you have it, the Phantom. Hey, did you happen to get those photos, Gurn, of the firewood that I sent to you? I don't know if you had time to maybe get those generated, but we'll try to get those up maybe sometime before we sign off here today. Of course, the Phantom brought to you exclusively each and every week by River Region Straw. Get that firewood, get that pine straw from Kenny. Call or text today, 669-5959 for seasoned firewood to keep you warm during these cold days and nights. And, of course, to spruce up that landscaping with some premium popping pine straw from River Region Straw. Couple of things on the chat before we head to a quick break. Ralph Michaels will join us in about 10 minutes here today. Yes, I did see that Bill Belichick allegedly interviewed for the North Carolina football job yesterday. Man, that would be interesting. Bill Belichick in the ACC at North Carolina. Whew, man, how old is Belichick? I don't know about that one. I thought Belichick was heading somewhere in the NFL. Also, John says, don't be surprised to see John Summerall coaching at a bigger school, Power 5 school in the next couple of years. John, there's no doubt about that. John Summerall will be coaching somewhere else at a bigger program. I mean, he did great at Troy. He's done well at Tulane. People are aware of John Summerall. He is on the radar. If Mark Stoops steps down at Kentucky, I think Summerall is the logical choice. I think he'd be a great fit at Kentucky. Is North Carolina going to interview him? Could. But he's going to end up somewhere. I can promise you that. Summerall will not be at Tulane much longer. He's done a great job there. And if they win the AAC tomorrow or tonight against Army, watch out for John Summerall. All right. Get in on the chat line. Get in on our Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry email inbox. We'd love to hear from you that way as well. I know the Dreamland picks are coming in. We appreciate that. Got a lot of great selections and picks coming in. We're going to take a quick timeout. And when we return, our man, Ralph Michaels from Wager Talk and the Gold Sheet will join me. Got a lot of big games to talk about with conference championship college football this weekend. Back with more right after this.
Shopping for a budget-friendly, reliable used car or a stunning new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram in Prattville is a process that should always start with your team of professionals on your side. Thanks to years of experience helping others in the local community enjoy premium service, low prices, and access to a wealth of amazing new and used cars, it is safe to say that Stivers Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram is the name to beat in Prattville. But don't just take my word for it. Experience the Stivers difference for yourself. Prices that will not be beat, a huge inventory, and knowledgeable, helpful sales associates. See why so many happy car and truck buyers shop at Stivers CDJR, where Price sells cars and trucks, Cobbs Ford Road in Prattville.
Happy holidays from Marguerite's, and every year we do an unbelievable $99 Christmas special, and it's got to be 14 karat white or yellow gold, and it's got to be high quality Marguerite's diamonds. Well, this year it's the best one ever. It's individual 14 karat letters that we've cut out and added a 7-point diamond to on a 14 karat necklace. Impossible. That's right. All the initial diamond necklaces, $99 at Marguerite's till Christmas.
Phoenix Physical Therapy is ready to help patients recover, recharge, and rise. They develop a customized therapy plan for each patient to get them back to enjoying their favorite activities. Their experienced team is committed to providing exceptional care in a professional environment. Whether you're looking to prevent or treat an injury, recover from a recent illness, or recuperate from surgery, schedule an appointment with our clinic and take advantage of our physical therapy, athletic training, workers' comp, and employer solutions service. Experience elevated physical therapy today. Call Phoenix Physical Therapy at 239-9316. That's 239-9316. Jim Massey's Cleaners and Laundry is an Alabama-based, family-owned and operated business that specializes in dry cleaning and laundry serving the River region since 1941. There are 12 convenient locations across the River region. Find one close to you or call 481-1911 for free pickup and delivery. For 83 years, Central Alabama has trusted Jim Massey's Cleaners and Laundry. You should too.
Alrighty, welcome back in, everybody. Glad you're with us. We're here live at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where Price sells cars. The big holiday sales event is ongoing, where you can save thousands, and I mean thousands, on Ford, Lincoln, and pre-owned vehicles here at Stivers. They've got America's best-selling truck, the F-150. It's been the best-selling truck for nearly 50 years in a row, and they've got hundreds for you to choose from. You can save up to $15,000 on a 2024 F-150. What are you waiting for? Come on out to Stivers this weekend and see for yourself where Price sells cars. Stivers Ford in Montgomery. Our man Ralph Michaels from Wager Talk and the Gold Sheet joining us on our City of Montgomery guest hotline. Hey, Ralph, good morning. How you doing today?
Doing great. I always appreciate you having me on. Sorry for my voice, a little under the weather, but we'll make it go.
Well, I appreciate it. Barry's under the weather today as well, not feeling well, so we're doing a little solo today, but hope you're feeling better as well. You know, Ralph, before we get into some games, I just kind of like to get your thoughts and your opinion about the college football playoff rankings that were revealed earlier this week. Certainly there could be some changes when the reveal comes out on the final one on Sunday, but your thoughts about where teams were positioned, and I guess particularly where Alabama was. It seems to be the feeling that Alabama's got a really good shot of getting in no matter what happens this weekend.
Well, the one thing that I am very happy the committee did, it said, listen, if you didn't play, you're not going to get bumped up. So, you know, you have to be in the championship game. And remember, that was the controversy a few years ago when they were down to 4 teams and it was Ohio State over, I think, TCU in the Big Ten. So I'm glad they said that we know who's going to be in. And I'm looking at my power ratings right now. I completely agree with this. I have Alabama at a 12 and I have Miami. I make Alabama a 4.5-point favorite on a neutral field. So that to me shows they played the better competition. They have the better team. And to me, that's all that matters. People get so caught up in the records. Well, if your strength of schedule is that weak, and I will say this, my only negative is Notre Dame right now, the way they schedule, has a clear path to the playoff every year because they play so many weaker foes. And you look at, if you're in the SEC or Big Ten or any of the Power 5, you're playing at least 4 games against a Power 4 team away from home. Notre Dame doesn't do that. So to me, Notre Dame's the bigger issue being where they are. Unless they are forced to play 4 Power 4 teams on the road each year, like every other conference team has, that would be the only fair judgment for me.
Yeah, I'm with you there as well. I think they're going to have to do I think there's going to be some big adjustments by the time the 2026 playoff gets here, probably expanded, maybe 14 to 16 teams, who knows. I think they're going to have to do something as well, maybe with Notre Dame and how they fit into all this. I do think in my lifetime, I think Notre Dame's going to be in a conference in football somewhere. I know they're steadfast in wanting to stay independent, but they might not have any choice. But in saying that, Ralph, and just curious, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if Alabama does make the playoff, there's a lot of talk they will play Notre Dame in South Bend. If that's the case, just, you know, early thoughts, how would you handicap that game?
You know, as I said, if I'm just looking at my power rating numbers, you know, obviously I would still make Alabama a slight road favorite. You know, and I look at the Irish and I say, well, let's see. They did beat Texas A&M, but we know game 1 of a season is such a unique setting. Northern Illinois, Purdue, Miami of Ohio, a Louisville win only by 7. And that's it. And the USC win only by 14. I mean, that's your only Power 5 team. So I think Alabama, with what they've done, granted, the Oklahoma game is a game that I really don't have an answer for. Watching a team play that poorly, there are just times you have to throw a game out and just say, well, the Vanderbilt game, well, again, that was their first conference road game, and we've seen Vanderbilt has been much improved, and the Tennessee loss by 7 is not bad. So, you know, I think this. My first instinct is I would lean over, and the reason I would lean over is this. Notre Dame has had their success running the ball, but when you look at the defenses they faced, Navy, Florida State, Virginia, Army, and USC, yeah, they averaged 250 plus yards their last 5 games, and they averaged over 7 yards per carry. And yes, the Alabama defense has allowed 200 yards rushing 3 times this year. But if Notre Dame's going to be able to establish the run, we know Alabama can score some points. I would lean, my first instinct would be lean over in this game. But again, weather, wind, all that factors in where you can't bet a total this early, no matter who you are in any condition, unless you're in a dome and you know that's the situation.
That's going to be real interesting, Ralph, to see what plays out on Sunday. And if, in fact, Alabama is traveling to South Bend to take on Notre Dame, that would be a heck of a matchup. I know a lot of people around here would love to see it. All right, how about some matchups tomorrow? Obviously, there's some big conference championship games. And around here, people are really interested in Georgia and Texas. They met in the regular season. Georgia took care of business. What do you think this second matchup for the conference championship tomorrow in Atlanta?
Well, let me say this, and I had to tell my customers this. Just because we're on the conference championship, obviously the two biggest games are Texas, Georgia, and Penn State, Oregon. And I don't have strong opinions on either one, side or total. And here's why. Previous to this season, if you were playing in the conference finals, unless it was the rare occasion where two SEC teams got in, if you lost the conference championship, you're out. But now, Georgia and Texas, the loser knows they're still in. Penn State, Oregon, the loser knows they're still in. At halftime, you might have made adjustments, but let's say you're Oregon, Penn State, and Penn State loses a couple offensive linemen early. Are you really going to risk and worry about a second half if you're down by 21 when you're going to be in the championship anyway? You might be a lower seed. So this is a brand new dynamic, and I'm not going to bet into a dynamic without watching what happens the first year or two. Unless I really do like a team. Again, I'm not afraid to pick a team, but in both of these instances, for that reason, I've gone back and forth. I will say this. I do lean Georgia. Now, I didn't think Texas was going to play as well as they did in their first big matchup in the SEC when they hosted Georgia. And, you look at that game and, were they impressive? Well, let's remember this. People remember Georgia won that game. And same season revenge is basically 50-50. So I'm not worried about that. But this Texas team has pressure on them. Why? You only have one loss. You were at home to this Georgia team. But to me, been there, done that means so much more at this point in time. And yeah, Georgia has two losses. And yes, the 563 yards they allowed to Georgia Tech was mind-numbing last week. I still give a slight edge to the Bulldogs.
Interesting. And I'm with you there. Yeah, they know they're in. So that's I would think that is a hard dynamic to try to handicap. But here's a game that I know one team, well, maybe both of them, in the ACC championship game, is the loser automatically in. I mean, if Clemson loses, they're out. There's some talk about if SMU loses, they might not make it. Don't know. What do you think happens in Charlotte? Do you feel the same way about the ACC as you do the Big Ten and the SEC?
No, I don't, and I really don't. And, SMU is going to have a case. If you're in the ACC and you have two losses and, your loss was to BYU by 3 points in a game where, there was only 500 total yards of offense, and that was early in the season. Clemson with three losses are out. SMU has some pressure. So in this game, I lean Clemson sort of for the same been there, done that, but I do lean first half under. This is a game where both teams have immense pressure, much more pressure than the other two major conferences because, again, those teams are in. These guys are not in. Can SMU stop the run? Well, again, they've stopped the run to the tune of 96 yards per game and 2.8 yards per carry, but the schedule of offenses have been very bad. I do like under first half in this game. Both teams will try to establish the run. Again, remember SMU's without their top wide receiver. He's a big loss in this game. And they ran the ball 36. The last 5 games, they've run the ball 50, 36, 30, 35, and 30 times. So they're going to try to establish the run. The Clemson team wants to establish the run. Under first half for me with this pressure pack game. I do give Clemson a 1.5 edge. They've been here. They've done that. It is Charlotte. They're going to have a bigger fan base. SMU is such a small school anyway, and for them to travel, it'll be, I'm guessing it'll be 75-25 crowd-wise for Clemson. Same thing, not bettable for me, but experience-wise, been there, done that for Clemson. Personally, though, since I'm not betting it, I actually hope SMU gets there. I like, a few of those underdogs being there.
Sure. I get you. I hear you. All right, Ralph Michaels, Wager Talk, and the Gold Sheet. Is there a game this weekend we need to take a closer look at?
Well, I'm going to give you 2 games. Let's finish this conference championship up with the 2 games that I bet so far. So, let's give you the absolute best of the best. First off, tonight, Tulane and Army. It's simple. I'm going under the total in the first half. When you look at Army and they played a very weak schedule, the weakest FBS schedule there is. They went 5-2 and they were a favorite of 7.5 or higher because they could run up the score against those opponents. But this Tulane team, remember, they just played Navy and they shut them down. Being able to face a team with a very similar offense twice in 3 games, to me, is a significant edge. Tulane has run the ball 511 times and only passed the ball 179 times. That's a 74-26 run-pass ratio. Again, situation for me, I'm going to go under first half, game 103-104, that is tonight, Tulane and Army. And for all you Sunbelt fans down there, it is ULL for me, minus the 5 or minus the 5.5 against Marshall. Now, Marshall is 7-1 in the Sunbelt. What if I told you that Marshall has only outgained one FBS opponent all year? That is crazy. You're 7-1 in the conference. The only team that you've outgained that's an FBS foe is Southern Miss, who I have as the second worst team in the entire country, and they outgained them by 353 yards. ULL has outgained 10 of 12 opponents. They only were outgained at Wake Forest by 6 yards and outgained by App State. The Sun Belt, again, the higher seed hosts that game. Since they've gone to that format, the Sun Belt host has won 5 straight and covered each of the last 4 games. Marshall gets exposed, and the only reason this line isn't a touchdown is because Marshall has done it with smoke and mirrors, and they're 11-1 against the spread, an amazing number. But again, if you say what's more amazing, 11-1 against the spread, or you got outgained by every FBS opponent except Southern Miss, I clearly lean with the backside. ULL gets it done, and they win another conference championship.
Man, that is some great information. I had not thought about that. That's why we have Ralph Michaels on to give us all that great information from Wager Talk and the Gold Sheet. So, Ralph, let our viewers, let our listeners know how they can get more of what you offer there at Wager Talk and the Gold Sheet.
Well, I'll tell you all, one of the most exciting times are when we get to Selection Sunday and they start posting the bowls. You know, they post them Sunday, then they start flying in Monday. But I'll tell you what, I have my Wager Talk live odds screen open all the time. So as soon as they start posting those numbers, you try to pick off those best bets that you have. Now, one piece of advice that I will share with a lot of people, prior to 3 years ago, I probably bet 80% of my bowl games the first week of when the games were released. But with all the transfers and with all the people sitting out and going to the NFL, it really has completely changed the way you bet bowls. Now, obviously, if you like a playoff game and that line comes out, you can bet it because there's no issue there, except if there's some people, grades come in, and that's why we see people ineligible bowls. Kids think, oh, we're not going to have a great time. You blow off your last quarter of school. You're going to the NFL. You don't pass grades, and a lot of times you can miss a bowl game because of that. So I don't mind betting playoff games. But most bowl games, I would say now I have to wait till at least a few days before to see what happens. But WT.buzz/odds is the shortcut to the Wager Talk live odds feed. And to visit me at CalSportsLV on Twitter, or my shortcut at Wager Talk, WT.buzz/RM.
And Ralph, that's some great advice you give there, because you're right. We've talked a lot about it with opt-outs, with transfers. You're not sure who's playing in these bowl games. I think Florida State was a prime example of that last year.
Yeah, and even Ohio State. Remember Ohio State went to Missouri, and your quarterback transferred to Syracuse before that game. Your number 2 got hurt. You were playing your number 3, and both wide receivers, Abuka and Harrison, practiced with the team all week. And then we thought we were going to play because they practiced, but they decided they didn't want to play in the game. So again, different scenario with the playoffs, but yeah, it's tough to be a bettor now in the bowl season and try to pick off value early because it really can blow up in your face.
It certainly could. You're right about that, Ralph. Great advice. Hey, have a great weekend, man. We always appreciate it. I guess next week we'll talk about some of these matchups that are coming up, some NFL as things are getting tight there for the playoffs in the National Football League. So we got a lot of great more conversations to have with you, and we look forward to it. Thank you, my friend. We'll talk next week.
You know what? Next Friday, let's tell everyone this week, put on your thinking caps. I will share some bowl systems with you that you can look for during the bowl season, because we only have those 2 games. Then we have the playoffs the week later. So it's a very light schedule. So I'll bring in some bowl TNA. Those are trends and angles and situations that we can share with our viewers to help them make better bowl decisions throughout the season.
Cannot wait. Going to be some great information. Look forward to discussing it with you next week. Hey, have a great weekend, Ralph, and we'll talk next Friday.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure thing. Ralph Michaels, Wager Talk and the Gold Sheet. Great information about that from Ralph, and we really appreciate that as well. Okay. We got a lot to do, about 20 minutes to go. Got some great chats we're going to get to here on the chat line. I know the Victoryland 777 topic wheel. We got some more of those to go over. Gern's going to get back with me on that, and we're going to check in on some of that. Before we go to our next break, I do want to tell you, here at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, this beautiful Lincoln Nautilus could be yours. There's a Lincoln Aviator right behind me. I'm on the Lincoln side today because trying to get away from the sun. Beautiful, bright day here in central Alabama, but beautiful vehicles all over the lot for you to see here. I'm talking hundreds and hundreds of vehicles. There's not a dealership within central Alabama or even beyond that that has as many vehicles on the ground for you to choose from than here at Stivers Ford in Montgomery. And they pride themselves on it. The largest inventory, the best sales associates, and price. Price sells cars. We all know it. Bottom line is, what's it going to cost me? You want to know it. They know it. They're not going to hide from it. And you're going to save thousands here at Stivers with this incredible inventory. America's best-selling truck for nearly 50 years in a row is the F-150. You can get a 2024 F-150 Crew Cab at 1.9% APR for 60 months or up to $15,000 off MSRP and no payment for 90 days. You can also get a great deal on the Ford Explorer. They started the SUV back in the early 80s up to $8,000 off MSRP, as low as $33,990 for up to 66 months. Also, great deals on the Mustang as low as $29,990. Also, they got the Ford Transit van, over 60 in stock. You can save thousands on the Transit van if you need that for your business. I know HVAC companies use them, laundry delivery services use them. Any type of delivery, that Transit van is perfect. And the stylish Bronco up to $10,000 off, starting as low as $34,990. So many great deals here for you. Ford Edge, yep, you're looking for an Edge up to $11,000 off MSRP. So many to choose from. The selection is incredible. That 8 or 9 or 10 that they're trying to move off the lot, every vehicle here. Holiday savings throughout this wonderful holiday period. You can save thousands here at Stivers in Montgomery, where price sells cars.
Capitol Hill on the RTJ Golf Trail is set along the Alabama River in Prattville. 3 18-hole championship courses await any level of golfer. Fall is the perfect time to enjoy great weather and pristine course conditions. Bring your foursome and enjoy all the big games in the clubhouse while enjoying great food and beverages in the grill. Capitol Hill also has a fully stocked pro shop with all the latest equipment and apparel. The 2025 trail cards are on sale now. Get discounts on green fees and merchandise all year. Buy early and save. For more information, go to rtjgolf.com/Capitol Hill or call 382-9787.
Some days you hit snooze, but not today. Today you have to go on a run to get burgers for the tailgate. You've got to haul something heavy, a cooler stocked with Bud Light. When you've got beer and football, nothing is hard. Until the other team scores. Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly. 21 plus, copyright 2024 Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
The Victoryland Casino 8 Days of Giveaways is going on now. The more you visit, the more chances you have to win. We're giving away $125,000 in free play and cash. That's right. Victoryland Casino is giving away $125,000 in free play and cash. Come play the latest and greatest games featuring exciting bonuses and huge jackpots. There's always more ways to win at Victoryland Casino off I-85 exit 22, Shorter, Alabama. Must be 21 or older. Must be present to win.
All righty, welcome back in, everybody. Glad you are with us here today. Let me check out the chats. Got some good ones coming in. Our man Jason from down in Troy says John Summerall, the former Troy head coach, took the Trojans to Army in the freezing rain last year and won. FYI, I hear you. I think Summerall knows how to play in cold conditions, and he'll get those Green Wave players ready to go. Folks, I know you've been waiting on this one. Dennis, my man Mitchell. He's got Army over Tulane. Wow, Dennis. He also says that he saw that Bronco Mendenhall is leaving New Mexico after 1 year to be the next coach at Utah State. I thought Brian Harsin was going to Utah State. Dennis, thank you for that insight. Chris the Bammer says, where's Robbie? Spin the wheel. Chris, you asked. He's delivered. Here is Robbie on the chat line with his picks for the weekend. Robbie says he likes Georgia over Texas, Oregon over Penn State, Arizona State over Iowa, and SMU over Clemson. That is Robbie from Greenville selections for conference championship weekend. All right. About 15 minutes until the top of the hour. I know we got that Victoryland 777 topic wheel that's got about ready to spin. So, Gern, spin it. It is 5.5 spreads. 5.5 spreads. You're thinking, what is that about? Gern, any idea what that might be about? What do you think? Spreads, I can tell you what it is. Of all the conference championship games this weekend, starting tonight, there is not one conference championship game where the spread is over 5.5 points. Every one of these conference championship games are going to be close, going to be tight. Tulane, in some spots, is a 5.5 point favorite over Army, but most spots 4.5. The other one, Marshall, 5.5 over, Louisiana Lafayette, or Louisiana, 5.5 over Marshall. So pretty tight games in the conference championship games. Chris the Bammer also wants to know, Chris, I assume you're saying the high school playoff games. You want some info on that? Love it. Perfect. I'm sure he has that as well. Gern, spin that wheel. We'll be ready to go with another topic here. It is hardwood. You know, I was looking at the college basketball schedule here. Auburn, I believe, is playing Richmond this weekend. Alabama, Creighton. Creighton knocked off the number one team earlier this week, Kansas. And Creighton's coming to Tuscaloosa. Could be an interesting matchup in Coleman Coliseum. Maybe Alabama's catching Creighton at a good time. What do you think? I would think so. Maybe a little high and mighty on their win that they had earlier in the week. But that should be a good one. And I'm looking forward to it as we also watch some of this basketball action. Yeah, that game, that game's in a week. Alabama's got about a 10-day, they're off for about 10 days. Their next game is Creighton. And then, of course, Auburn will be playing Richmond, the Richmond Spiders up next. But some time, it must be exam time, going through exams, getting ready, the players having to go through exams. Probably that's what is happening. But yeah, Josh, thank you about that. I wanted to double check. I knew Creighton was up next, but it is actually next weekend and not this weekend. So a little time off for the Tide basketball team. And, of course, also with Auburn and Richmond, they'll get together next on the hardwood as well. All right, Gern, spin that wheel again. See what we got. What comes up next?
Apologies, John. I had myself muted. I was responding to you. I was wondering.
Yeah, you got to
wondering why I wasn't getting anything.
Yeah, you got to turn the mic on. So we got practice. All right, practice is the next the next category. Here's the deal with practice. Should Kalen DeBoer send his team out for a little practice session this weekend just in case? They're not in the playoff yet. But as I mentioned, I think they got a pretty good idea that they're going to make the playoff. Unless something really crazy, wacky goes out this week, they're going to be in the playoff. So let me check my AccuWeather here just to give you an example. And Gern, if you'd send Will Fisher a link, he's going to join us here in just a moment from Capitol Hill up there in Prattville. We are going to, well, I'm not getting here we go. All right, so the weather is going to be quite cold, into the 30s, into the 20s. Should Kalen DeBoer take his team out for a little practice session tomorrow night, Sunday night, when the weather's really cold? I'm not sure it's going to be as cold in the extended forecast over the next couple of weeks or days. It'll be a 2-week break. I mean, if they do make the playoff, it'll be a little less than 2 weeks before they play. But should they? Why not? What do you think? Beats just standing around doing nothing. I'd do it. All right, Gern, spin the wheel again. Let's see what we got. I'm a big fan of let's get some extra practice time in. Why not? Let's do it. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the red, it might land on it. Okay, Herb and the Pelicans. Herb Jones, former Alabama basketball player, now with the New Orleans Pelicans. Herb, what's this about? Tell me more.
I got you right here. Hold on.
This is at Smoothie King. Foul. That guy's name is that McCullum? No, okay, that's a Phoenix player. Herb playing great D. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
Shut down D.
They didn't call a foul on that, did they? Oh, sweet. No, see, that's what I love about the NBA. That's what I love about the NBA. Let them play. That wasn't a foul.
So you've got the Pelicans topping the Suns 126-124. Obviously, the Pelicans have had a little rough start to the year, but the Suns have been off and away with Brandon Ingram, and so it's just. I mean,
I love the fact. I'm glad you showed that clip, Gurm, because that is close to what we were talking about earlier this week. Let them play, and I get the sense that our man Will Fisher, who is the director of golf at Capitol Hill on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, joining me here this morning. And Will, thanks for hopping on with me here today. I get that back in the day when you were playing basketball in your driveway or maybe up at the YMCA. I mean, if anybody called a foul, I mean, you better show some blood. I mean, there might need to be a bruise on your arm. I mean, you're just not calling a foul to call a foul.
Well, listen, John, I had a Auburn friend text me the other night and was letting me know that the Duke-Auburn game was being given to Duke by the refs and wanted to whine about the calls that Duke was supposedly getting, right? And then, at about the 4 minute to 3.5 minute mark, there was a couple of exchanges on the Auburn side of the court where a couple of things happened and there were no fouls called. Play was stopped a couple of different times, do a couple of reviews, and no fouls were called. And I immediately text back, who's playing football now? Right. It was responded, no blood, no foul. Right.
Yes.
So I just, I understand that, yes, back in the day, if you were playing in the neighborhood, you did have to have a little blood to be able to get the ball and take it back out again. So I absolutely understand it.
I just think the officials in the SEC, Will, are a little whistle happy. I mean, the ticky-tack, nitpicky fouls, I don't want to see them. Slows the game down. I'm not there to watch a free throw shooting contest. So don't give me that. I mean, let's just swallow the whistle a little bit more. And I don't want it to be the NBA, even though I do like the fact the NBA rarely blows a whistle, but just swallow the whistle a little bit.
Well, you can also pack your bag and carry the ball from half court to the free throw line in the NBA. So that may be part of the reason there's very little whistles in the NBA.
Yeah, good point. You're right about that. All right, conference championship games this weekend. I guess your initial thoughts, any feelings on any of these big games that are going to be played today and tomorrow?
My only thing is that I know that there's been a lot of, issues with Alabama being in the playoff bracket. There's a couple of things I'm sure you've said before numerous times on your show, which is the playoff rankings and the bracket are two different things. Don't pay attention to rankings per se. Pay attention to the bracket when it comes out. There's no telling what's going to happen. I do think that there potentially are some scenarios where the committee is going to have to go back on some things that they've said. And I'll give you one example. I'm sure it's not going to happen, but if Texas was to blow the doors off of Georgia, now you've got Georgia as a 3-loss team. And how are you putting them ahead of Ole Miss and Alabama when they lost the head-to-heads to those two teams? So I don't know. The committee is famous for not being able to be tied down to anything particular. I don't blame Warren. I would probably be the same way if I had his job. But, I think what I'm interested to see is I want to see if UNLV, which did give Boise a really good game in Vegas earlier in the year, if they will be able to go to Boise and win that game. And then I would be interested to see if John Summerall and his Tulane Green Wave can go up to West Point and win that game. The weather, I think, has definitely got to be a factor. I have no idea what the weather in West Point is going to be. But I will say this, that it's not going to be what it is in New Orleans. I'll assure you of that.
Yeah.
And so whether you can go up there and handle that, it's almost kind of like the Dolphins going to the Patriots for years and years in the late season. So.
Yeah, and it is a different team, no doubt. But Summerall did take his Troy team up there. It was freezing rain. And they're used to it. Maybe he can pass that along to his Green Wave team because I definitely think the weather will be an issue tonight. I'm with you. Georgia, that's an interesting thing that you brought up there, Will. But it seems like if you make your conference championship game, particularly if you're in a Power 5 league, you're gonna be in, whether you win or lose, unless like you mentioned, unless you're blown out and embarrassed. I think both those, particularly the Big Ten and the SEC, particularly, they're getting in.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I know I use that scenario because it's one where if you go back and listen to some of the things that the committee said earlier in the year, we're going to value this over that, and the law and the analogy or the one point that you can really tie them down to where they kind of wish-wash was, there was a loss for Alabama. Alabama fell 4 spots. Georgia had a loss. They fell 9 spots. Well, on the Monday following the Alabama loss, it was, we don't pay too much attention to certain losses. We pay more attention to the wins. And then the next week, Georgia loses. They fall 9 spots. He says, we pay more attention to the losses. Like, whoa. Last week, you said you pay more attention to wins. And again, it's difficult to be in that room with that committee. But I will say this, that, I agree with you. I don't think that even if Texas wins, I think the game's going to be reasonably close. I think that means Georgia's going to be in. They'll be a 3-loss team. For those Alabama fans that feel like they get their feelings hurt because they won the head-to-head, it's like, listen, your problem is that you went to Nashville and you walked out with an L. End of the story on that deal. But same with Ole Miss. Ole Miss had a home game against a bad Kentucky team that you got beat at home. Which is even to me worse than the Alabama deal. But I think I do think that you're going to have if you're the conference commissioners, there's no doubt that they've given Warren and this committee some sort of walking, orders, if you will, stepping orders that are basically saying to them that, hey, we need 4 teams from the Big Ten and we're going to need 4 teams from the SEC because we're the 2 conferences that drive all the money. And that's the truth.
It is the truth. There's no doubt about it. No doubt. Great analysis there, Will. Before we let you go, it's the holiday season. Christmas is fast approaching, and that 2025 trail card, man, I'm telling you, it pays for itself. And anybody out there that's got a golfer on their Christmas list, they have got to get a hold of that 2025 trail card.
No, I absolutely agree. We've seen a lot of card sales just in the last couple of weeks. I've got, you always can tell when the wife comes in to buy the Christmas gift for her husband or her son. she's like, I don't know what this thing is called, but it's some kind of card I need to get. And, yes, ma'am, we have it. We'll take care of you, get you squared away. We see a lot of them that are coming in and getting the trail card and then trying to get, an additional item, whether it's a dozen balls, a hoodie. Hoodies are real big in golf. We've sold a lot of hoodies since the 1st of November. We've got more coming in. I don't particularly like a hoodie, but I also don't have the game that I used to have either that can support the hoodie. It's kind of like the white belt. You got to have a certain look to get the white belt.
Yes.
Right. I don't look like Justin Thomas out on the first tee box, so I don't know if I can pull the hoodie off, but they are very popular.
They are very popular. My kids wear them all the time, and they've got them at the pro shops there on the trail. Of course, we're talking to Will Fisher, who's the director of golf at Capitol Hill in Prattville. So go by and see him there. Hey, Will, for more information, trail cards, merchandise, tee times, equipment, I know they can go to rtjgolf.com/Capitol Hill, or what's that phone number to just call the pro shop?
Yeah, they give us a call at 285-1114. We'll be glad to help them in any way. And if we don't have it here and we get enough time, we will get it in for you. We've got 10 sites, as you mentioned, that we can pull from to get a certain size. If you need it, we'll be glad to do that as well.
Hey, full service, folks. Great people on the RTJ Trail. Will, thank you so much for hopping on today. Always a lot of fun, and we'll talk again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, John. Have a great weekend.
You too, buddy. Thank you, Will Fisher, Capitol Hill Director of Golf. All right, as I wrap up here today, Barry under the weather. Hopefully he'll be back with us on Monday. But folks, come by and see my friends here at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where Price sells cars. Stivers Ford Lincoln, I'm telling you, they got an inventory that nobody can match. So they've got the vehicle you want right here, right now on the lot. Hundreds and hundreds to choose from in the front of the lot, on the sides, in the rear. They're everywhere. Folks, they got the selection, the sales associates, the expertise to walk you through the process. It's not going to take long at all. Price sells cars. Bottom line, nobody can touch the prices here at Stivers. So save thousands on your new vehicle purchase at Stivers Ford in Montgomery. Thanks to all of our guests today, Lee Sterling, the Phantom, Ralph Michaels, Will Fisher. Thanks to our friends here at Stivers Ford, Gerd Jr. back there at Network Control in Nashville. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll talk again bright and early Monday on Longshore at McKnight, presented by Bud Light.